Hello, my name's Natalie Osborne-Thomason, former paranormal investigator, author of 4 books on the paranormal, and this is Ghost Host, my channel. Now this video today is quite a dark subject. It starts off as a teenager. I went to the cinema and saw Live and Let Die, which is a James Bond film, and some of it is set in Haiti, where there obviously a lot of voodoo and stuff goes on. I think also that there was a main character that read the tarot cards, and I'm a real James Bond fan. I've watched all the James Bond films, particularly the older ones, which are a lot better. So that's what opened my eyes to the tarot cards, which I do professionally now as a reader, but also to the voodoo religion, which I find fascinating because it's a mixture of Catholicism and the ancient African religions. And it was when the Africans landed in the Caribbean, obviously voodoo was part of their religious practices. People get the wrong idea about voodoo. They just see it as being completely negative, where it has a negative and a positive. Many years ago, I made a trip to Haiti. However, it was curtailed slightly by the earthquake. So I had to go onto the small island of Labadee. I wanted to go to Port-au-Prince and see a voodoo ceremony taking place and buy some bits and pieces. I did buy an actual voodoo doll, which was quite cute. The people on the island make and sell them by hand. Now, the reason that I go onto this subject is today's episode is about curses, hexes, and negativity. Now, while I was a paranormal investigator for about 20 odd years, people would ring me and say, I've been cursed, I've been hexed, I'm scared, I keep finding things on my doorstep, from dead birds with pins in to voodoo dolls to all kinds of things. Now, one of the cases that I investigated was a chap who lived in London called Ifti, had a restaurant, and he sacked his Pakistani chef. The Pakistani chef decided to curse him and his family and the business, and he was pouring pig's blood against the back door of the restaurant, and he was putting things through their door. So he got hold of me through a friend of a friend, and I said I can't promise that I'll be able to solve it, because I found when I was doing my investigations that I could do cleansing rituals with salt and candles and get rid of things. Sometimes it's not a precise thing, but sometimes I can. Plus there's the placebo effect. If somebody thinks that you know what you're doing and you say that you might be able to help them, even just going through the motions sometimes is enough for it to stop happening, particularly if it's in their head, which sometimes it is, or they're frightened of normal noises like a house can make creaks and groans and whatever. So I went to this restaurant. I took my salt with me, a special salt, which is actually a voodoo recipe. So it's an ancient recipe. And as I was sprinkling it across the back door of the restaurant, the Pakistani chef showed up. And I said, I know who you are and I know what you're doing. And I threw a whole bag of salt over him. Well, he screamed and yelled and ran off scared. He never came back. The restaurant, as far as I know, because Ifti used to send me free food, he used to send me all kinds of gifts. He was a very nice man, gave me a pearl necklace. I think it ended because the Pakistani chef thought, I don't know who this creature is, this woman that's doing this, but I don't like it. So that was that case. Now, there are some very famous cursed objects, like the Hope Diamond, for example. Now, the Hope Diamond, they believe, was ripped from an Indian goddess, and it was put into a necklace, and everybody that's owned the diamond has either died or had tragedy. So it's called a cursed object. I think it's in the Smithsonian Museum at the moment, so nobody owns it. That's the thing with cursed objects. Oftentimes people don't want them in the house, so they donate them to a museum, or they get rid of them, put them on eBay, sell them, bury them in the garden. There was also another case, I'll quickly tell you this, about a lady who lived in Enfield, I think it was in London. No, sorry, Greenford in London. And she had goings on happening, and she'd bought an Egyptian mummified cat in a market sort of 30 years before. And she showed me, and it looked genuinely old. And I suggested that she either bury it in the garden, put it in the shed in the tin box away from the house, or donate it to a museum. and she was umming and ahhing. I said, I'll take it home with me and I'll bury it in my garden. But she decided to put it in the shed. And after that, the activity in the house ceased. The cat, because she'd got a cat called Tinkerbell, and the cat was a lot calmer. And so I believe the spirit of the mummified cat, or the person who owned the mummified cat, the person that was buried with their wealth, didn't like it that their funerary goods had been split up. So I get a lot of people, even today, contact me and say, somebody's put a curse on me, somebody's put a hex on me, what can I do? One of the things I tell people to do is put a mirror in the window, and that will deflect back any negativity people are sending you. So hexes and curses are real. I've personally experienced one myself for a short term, thank goodness. So it's something I'm interested in. But yeah, James Bond is what got me into the paranormal world, and my dad telling me all the ghost stories. So in my 25 plus years of writing about it, I've written in some of my books about curses and hexes and stuff like that. The main thing to be is not to be scared, because I think fear can be a terrible thing. So if someone says that they've done it to you, or you suspect someone's done it to you, fear is the last thing you want to do, because it cannot work on you unless you deserve it. So if someone pays a person, which is what I often get hurt, people tell me that somebody in their family has paid somebody to do magic on them. Well, there's very few practitioners that have got the power to do that. So chances are they waste their money. If you're not frightened of it, if you're not a bad person, you haven't done anything bad, nothing will happen to you. So it will rebound back on the sender. So I always say to people, if you're gonna say buy a voodoo doll or go and see somebody about this, just don't waste your money. Just forgive and forget and just get on with your life. So this is Natalie Osborne Thomason talking about hexes and curses.